All right, we are live. Let me get my other one going here. There we go. So today, everybody, we are looking at the new iPad, not to be confused with the other iPad, because there are now like a million iPads called iPad, but this one is iPad. Let me go pull up the breakdown now, because they're still selling the old one, from what I understand. So they have the iPad. Maybe not. Let me see. iPad. Yeah, so they have the 9th and 10th generation. This is the 10th generation, the newest one. But they also are still selling the 9th generation because this one is more expensive, and I guess it goes this way. So I got the blue one. I'm thinking I may have wanted to get the yellow one, but I'm not going to keep it very long. So one of you will end up with this when we're done here. And let me go check my vMix thing here. Am I public? Oh, I'm not public. Hang on a second. I thought I had switched this into public mode, but apparently I did not. So we'll do that. Save. And now we are live. So yes, so today we are unboxing the new iPad, and you can still get the old iPad, believe it or not, but this is the new one. So they call this one the 10th generation iPad, as opposed to the 9th generation, which is still, again, available at a lower price. So that is the deal there. And I'm going to wait a second because I neglected to make this live stream public when I started it. So what's going to happen is that everyone's going to start finding out about it now. So I'm going to let it sit here for a second until we get going. And I have what they call a hard out at around 3:15 or so. So we'll just get as much done as we can, which I think we should be able to get a lot done because there's not much to this that we haven't seen before on iPads. And let's go and take it out of the box here. And we got some folks joining us. Joe Tyson is here. Good to see you. Skylar is here. I am well. Matthew Burden is here. And Skylar is from York, Pennsylvania. And I am here in Connecticut. So if you're just tuning in, we do these live streams every once in a while. Actually, just about once or twice a week. And I simulcast on Amazon, where you can also watch. And if you want to follow me there, that'd be great. William Wilkinson is here. Hello there. Nigel Roberts, right on time, from London Heathrow. Yeah, so I got the new iPad. This is the new one, the blue new one. And now I'm thinking I really wanted the yellow one. Because I was looking at the picture when I was setting up the Amazon stream. I said, ooh, that yellow one looks pretty cool. But the price went up on these things. So you can still buy the old one, but this is the new one. All right, well, let me start the unboxing process. I'm also going to do an experiment here and record a portion of this. I want to try to do this as a short. I'm deciding whether or not to start doing unboxings on my regular channel as shorts versus the extras channel. I haven't figured that out yet. So we will get to that in a second. Osman Romero is here from Nicaragua. Hello there. Thanks for joining us. Did I get the huge dongle? You know, I don't think I did, unless it comes in the box, because I have a Generation 1 pencil here with the lightning connector. I had it plugged into my phone for a little while. Honestly, the last time I used this was when we reviewed the last iPad. So I have no idea. We're going to find out. So let me hit the record button, and let's unbox the new iPad here. One thing I noticed is that it doesn't have any cellophane on the packaging. I went with the very low-end 64 gigabyte version. I always go for the least expensive because I purchased this to review. And this box feels like very well put together here. There it goes. Doesn't slide out as easily as the cellophane wrapped ones once did. All right, so here is the iPad. Let's open up its paper. And this comes in a bunch of different colors. I went with the blue one, as you can see. It looks very blue. And this follows now the design language we've seen on the iPad Airs and the Minis and the Pros. So it's got that metal rounded design here. And it looks like it's got stereo speakers. It has a USB Type-C connector now versus the Lightning connector. The issue, though, with this one is that the USB-C runs at USB 2 speeds. So the speed of the data transfer will be about the same as it was on Lightning. But I am curious to see if we get video output with this new one. So we'll find out in a second on that. We have our usual instruction guide here with some stickers. We have a power adapter, one of those USB-C ones. This is a 20-watt adapter, not bad. And then we have a nice nylon fabric-coated cable for charging. What I don't have in the box, though, is the dongle for my first generation pencil here, because this pencil has a Lightning connector, which this one doesn't have. And I can guarantee you that a lot of people who have an existing pencil are just going to shove it into their USB-C slot and potentially damage it, because look, it's got like, you know, it's got a male connector on there. So apparently there's a dongle you can get so that you can continue charging your first generation pencil. And I guess they're going to have a new generation of the first generation pencil, because this will not work with the second generation pencil, only the first one. But the first one has a Lightning connector, which is not on this one. So I may not be able to get my pencil to work at all. We'll have to see what happens with that. But that is it for what's in the box. It's your run-of-the-mill iPad here. It does, though, looks like it has a fingerprint sensor at the top. So it's got some features similar to the iPad Air. By the way, there are some pogo plugs down here at the bottom for those Apple keyboards. So this will basically power that keyboard when you have it docked to that. I didn't get that this time because it's so expensive. So I just went with the iPad here to see how it functions as a device. All right. Yeah, they actually included a USB charger in the box. Crazy. Flood of Sins is here. Hello there. We have somebody in from the Ukraine. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope everything is as good as it can be at the moment, given the circumstances. We're all thinking about you here. Bruno is here. Yes, we can definitely test that. I have a Wi-Fi 6 radio here. Yeah, I like the way the blue looks. I'm really curious now to know, to see what the yellow looks like, because that looked like it would have been really cool looking, wouldn't it? So I'm going to get this thing set up here and see how it works. Yes, this is a fabric cable, so very similar to some of the other cables we're starting to see from Apple. So it's got that, I guess it's like a nylon fabric, but it's definitely not your usual cable type. But it feels very nice. Yeah, another $30. Are they seriously charging $30 for that dongle? I hope not. Oh my goodness. But I can see it already, because if you look here on the connector, that USB-C is the USB-C cables are essentially male connectors, right? And so what's going to happen? Somebody's going to take this thing and shove it in there and break it. I guarantee you it's going to happen. You know what's neat, though, is the connector, if you can look in there, is also blue. So they managed to match the color on the connector edge. That's pretty neat. Our Hollis got a 64 gig Gen 4 iPad Air. That's a pretty good deal. Is that the M1 one? That's a pretty good deal. So this is the 10th generation. I don't have 5G, unfortunately, on this one. I just have the Wi-Fi one. The dongle is $9. Really? That's crazy. I mean, $30 would be really crazy, but $9 is crazy too. And this is definitely the base iPad. That's why it says iPad. It is just the iPad. However, now, here's the funny thing. There are now two iPads. So you have the iPad Air, and the iPad Pro. But now within the iPad line, there is the iPad 10th generation, which is this one. And then you have last year's, the 9th generation, that's still being sold for less money, also called iPad. So now they're getting back to calling them by their generational name. Likely because they have a lot of excess stock, I think is probably what happened. Because I can tell you, reviewing all this stuff, that Chromebooks, iPads, these manufacturers like just cranked them out, anticipating more demand than I think ended up materializing. Because by the time they had stock, everything was, the demand had kind of reduced. So I think what's happening is that Apple is stuck with a lot of these things. Apple, though, won't liquidate them. They'll just sell. They're just going to sell through, right? So they're just going to hang on. You know, they didn't stop the 9th generation line. They probably have so many they can't. All right, I'm going to set up this manually here. Just give me a second. I'm just going to set this up. But I do have a Wi-Fi 6 access point, so we will be able to test its internet or Wi-Fi speeds, which is a great suggestion because I didn't think about that earlier. So let me just make a note here. So this is the iPad 10th generation. It looks a lot like the iPad Air, doesn't it? But the iPad Air now has the M1, and the Pro has the M2, if I'm not mistaken. And they still have yet to make full use of it. All right, I'm going to set up the Touch ID. So it is going to have me do that. And I think the older ones obviously had that home button. So now it's up here at the top, just like the iPad Air. So if you wait around long enough, usually the lower cost iPad gets... All right, we'll do that later. Now I'm going to set up my passcode here. All right. And I have to log into all my accounts and all that kind of stuff, so you know how that goes. We'll get all that going here in a second. All right. So I did not get the, again, the 5G one. This is just the regular Wi-Fi one. I don't have 6E though, sorry about that. I need to get a 6E access point. How can you tell when buying one to get the new one? So you have to be specific in looking for the 10th generation iPad. Now on Amazon, if you click through my link, they call it the 2022 iPad. So on Amazon, it's 2022. On Apple, it is called the 10th generation. Although, as I'm typing things out here, you can also look at it because this one does look a lot different because it doesn't have the home button. You know, so it's the iPad Air design with it. So that's another way to know that you've got the right one. Apple must think I'm their best customer because I keep adding devices to my account, but then I just get rid of them after I review them. And you know what's funny is I have an iPad Pro that is from the original iPad Pro line. Verification failed. Come on now. Let's try this again. Allow that. See, of course, I'm live, and that's why this thing is not going to work. An unknown error occurred. Well, that's not good. How am I going to get into my iPad here? Verification failed. I wonder if I'm getting an email from them. Let me try this again. Don't transfer. Let's try this again. If not, I'll just continue without my... Maybe I've hit my limit on Apple devices I can have on one account, right? All right, so I'm going to allow this. Could just be their verification servers down, maybe. Let's see, is that going to take? Yeah, that went. Okay, now it's going. All right, so we're almost there. The bezels look big on this. Like if you look at the bezels, like the bezels look big, don't they? I think they do. Yeah, I'm with you, Grayson. I'm in the same boat. I try to get everything on Ethernet because that seems to be the best. obviously the best performance. I have Ethernet all over the house, much to my wife's chagrin. One cable happens to be going through my living room right now. I have to get somebody in here to install a proper connector. So Matthew has an iPad Pro 2020. Now, that was the last one before the M2. So the one that I have, which one do I have? I have the iPad Pro 11, the first one. And when did that one come out? Let me see. So I think I got mine in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. So which one do I have? I have the 2018 one, the 11-inch. And I have yet to find a reason to get rid of it. Like, it's when the iPad Air came out with the M1, I bought that and reviewed it. I was really impressed with its performance. But I was thinking, do I really need to keep this thing? And when I have a perfectly functional, you know what I mean? Like, the iPad Pro never really has been, the one that I have has never been fully utilized to its full potential. So Crab Donkey wants to know, does Apple have a problem with too many devices added like Windows did? I don't think so. I've never hit the limit. But I am not keeping them on as long as I do the Microsoft. Because Microsoft, what happens is, when I reset the Windows computer, it doesn't take it off my account. It leaves it on there. Unless I remove it explicitly. I think on the Apple side, it takes it off the account. And I think Rushmore is very much correct, that at this point, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. That's very true. All right. I'm not going to transfer anything. I'm going to hit continue. I'm going to skip. Now it wants to add my credit cards to my Apple Pay. I don't want to do that. Not now. Welcome to iPad. Okay, so we are here. La. All right, so now, okay, now what? What I am going to do is check and see if there's an update. The battery has 93% on it, so it is, oh, looky here. Of course, iPad OS 16.1. Well, may as well. Then we can all talk a little bit. Now, I guess the problem I'm going to have is without the dongle, I can't connect my Apple Pencil, can I? Because I obviously can't plug it in there. I don't want to buy the dongle. We'll have to see what happens there. Yeah, so my 2018 one has the, I'm trying to see what processor. I think it has the A12. Yeah, the A12X Bionic is what I have on mine. And yours is the, right, so you have the 12Z Bionic. So they got a lot of life out of that A12. And then the 2021 models have the M1. So that was the progression there. Well, I'm guessing this shouldn't take long to update, right? Because you know what I'm noticing on this? The screen brightness is not that bright. I'm spoiled by my iPad Pro that goes a lot brighter than this one does. But we'll see what happens when it does its update. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to connect this pencil up to it because I have no way to connect it. Usually you plug it into the port at the bottom. And I know how it's going to work, so I'm really reluctant to spend more money to just tell people that the pencil works, right? All right, we're just going to wait for this to finish updating, because that's what we do on this channel, is update things live on live streams. Yeah, I think you're right, Mark. There's too many Too many of them. Red Techie is here. Hello there. So you know what's funny, William Wilkinson? I bought the iPad mini. I was so excited about it. And then, you know what happened is I stopped using it, and I went back to my other iPad. But I don't use that one all that much either, so we'll have to see what happens. Yeah, there is Bluetooth on it, and I think the initial pairing, let me see if I can pair it up here. I think the initial pairing happens when you plug it into the device with the lightning cable, because there's no buttons on this pencil to have it do anything. So I have no way of like getting it to see it. One thing that's neat though is that it does, you know, if you have your AirPods or your Beats stuff paired up with another Apple device, it will sync those automatically so you don't have to repair everything. So that's kind of neat. And we're just waiting for the update to finish being prepared so that we can do that. So Kevin says, in Spain, it costs 580 euros for just this model. That's crazy. That's a lot. Yeah, here it's $449, which at this point is about almost a one-to-one with the euro, maybe a little less, but yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, I don't think they priced this one right, especially because the one they call iPad is usually the most affordable device. So for example, when I bought the iPad for my kids, I got them on sale for like $249. So I got the one, these are the ones that were like maybe it was the seventh or eighth generation before they went to the larger screen. And they still work fine. So I had used this on a different iPad. So this was hooked up to my whatever iPad. I think actually this was hooked up to my kids' iPads. So the problem though is that it doesn't follow the account. It pairs with the device directly. So I was kind of bummed out they didn't include an adapter. Because you know what's going to happen is people are going to go out and buy these pencils and not know what connector it has on the end of it. Because I don't know if unless the new pencils are coming with the adapter. I'm very confused about this. Let me look on what you get now with the pencil. And like, why not just make it support the second generation pencil? I guess there was probably more cost involved with that. Yeah, so on the Apple website, it still says pairing and charging via Lightning. Boy, that is very inelegant, isn't it? So, yeah, so it says it requires USB-C to Apple Pencil adapter, which, as many of you point out, is $9. It's like this thing. I just don't want to get it. I don't need it. So what happens if you buy the pencil now? Does the pencil come with the adapter? What's in the box? Yes. Okay. So now if you buy the pencil, then you get the adapter in the box with the current iteration of the pencil. So what you get is the pencil, the lightning adapter, an extra tip, and USB-C to pencil adapter. So what's the lightning adapter is like that female to female thing. That's what it is. Okay. Yes, I'm not sure how this is gonna work. It's probably not gonna work at all because I'm touching the iPad with the pencil. My pencil could very well be dead. What I was trying to do earlier was charge it with my phone. Wonder if I can do that maybe. I don't know. Because my phone still has a lightning connector, but you know, maybe while this is going, I will load up the Notes app here and see if I can coax it into working. Yes, if I just touch the screen with it, it's just not detecting it. Because it needs to get plugged in first. So unless you plug it in, it's not gonna fly. And I guess it's fine for people that are going to the Apple store to buy these things. But if you're finding a better deal on the older pencils somewhere, that's going to prove to be difficult, I think. Our update is almost ready, and then we'll run some benchmarks on it. Yeah, so the adapter comes with it. Yeah, I think what happened is that the second generation pencil requires a capacitive charger, and I bet you that was driving the cost too high to include that feature, right? Because the iPad Air does that one. Oh, here's another question. How do you hook up wired headphones to this one? You know, that's a good question because there's no headphone jack on this either. I didn't even notice that before. Yep, so the way I would do it is with a USB-C. They sell one, of course. USB-C to headphone adapter, but now you got another dongle hanging out of it. So that's the only way to do it. Recipe Bob is here. Hello there. So we should make a note of that. No wired headphone, no headphone jack. This is more of Apple's courage, right? I'm going to need to get a Wi-Fi 6E access point, aren't I? Does Unify have one yet? Because I'll just replace the one I have down here and move this one somewhere else in the house. Let's take a look. We got one for $300. We're just waiting for the update to update here. Can the Apple Pencil work with older generations? So if you have the first, so most of the iPads, so the iPad Air and Pro use, well, it gets complicated. The iPad Pro that came out in 2018 uses the second generation pencil with the charger on it. The iPad Air uses the second generation. The iPad Mini now uses the second generation, but the original iPad and the old Mini uses the first gen pencil. So the only new iPad currently that requires the old pencil is this new one. But you can't use the old pencil with the new one, with the new ones. So my iPad Pro will not work with the first generation pencil. And I just was looking through there to see if there was a way to force a pairing. Let me try that actually, Apple Pencil. So there's an option here. This is a neat feature I hadn't seen before. Look at this. It's got a feature to only allow you to draw with the pencil, and that would prevent accidental finger touches from messing up your thing there. Yeah, so I can't get this to work because I don't have the adapter. Because I have one that I bought before they switched to USB-C. Yes, progress. So if you had yeah, I do. That adapter is long gone in my mess down here. But right, they had a lightning to lightning adapter in the box that I could then use from a lightning to USB-C connector, couldn't I? That would probably work. And CF says the first gen pencil has pretty bad battery life. Yeah, mine's always dead. And this could very well be dead right now. I don't know. So the pencil only needs to be hooked up to pair. And after that, as long as it's got battery, you can go that route. And I think the iPad Air 5 is the better way to go. And it's, it's a little bit more money, but it's much more powerful, right? And this is it. Like, it's funny, when the iPad first came out, people didn't really get it. It was like, oh, this is a big phone. What's the point? Until you picked it up and you're like, whoa, now I get it. And there's something to be said about I think it was like the whole Star Trek thing. Like this one is certainly thicker. You know, it's not as elegant, if you will, as the Pros are. But there's something elegant about having a full-size screen that you can read from. I have on order the new, so Amazon has like a bigger Kindle now that is kind of billing itself as a tablet-like device where you can read documents with an e-ink display. I'm very eager to try that out because I think there's something like Star Trek-ish about that, right? So the UniFi 6 Enterprise is Wi-Fi 6E. It's expensive. I think it's like $300. Should I get it, Red Techie? Do you have one? What do you think? Because I'm going to need to be able to test Wi-Fi 6E devices. It has a 2.5 gig Ethernet port, which is excellent. Although what I would plug it into does not have a 2.5 gig, because it's PoE, right? Yeah, that's a whole nother complexity. It says it can do 10.2 gigabits of aggregate throughput rate, but it only has a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet on board. Looks like they have it in stock, though. You got 5 of them installed. So what kind of speeds are you getting out of it? Are you getting like the full deal or short of that? So let me ask you this, because here's my problem, is that the PoE switch that I'm plugging it into, I'm guessing it probably comes with an injector, right? The PoE switch that I have mine currently plugged into is only gigabit. Yeah, everything's a mess now. They can't make it easy. Yeah, so I do have switches that are non-PoE that can handle that. But I guess I'll have to get like the injector then and go back to how I was doing it before. Now this I do have. So most of my network down here is 10 gigabits. So my production computer that I'm broadcasting out to you on, I have a fiber optic cable that I'm running. It's very, like the rest of the mess I live in down here, it's very inelegant, but I have a fiber optic cable that comes out of the back of that computer, goes up through the ceiling and into the closet over there. So that's at 10 gig. My desk setup over there is also 10 gig. Upstairs is 10 gig. And then I have a couple of 2.5 gigabit things scattered about. Oh, so this, okay, good. This doesn't have 6E. Perfect. Well, that makes my life a lot easier for this go around. And it doesn't come with an injector. Does it even sell a 2.5 gigabit injector? So I do have that distribution switch that you got me, but that doesn't do 2.5 gig yet, does it? Or did they add that as a firmware update? Because that distribution switch is the hub of my activity that I bought from you, Red Techie. That thing works great. I love having all this bandwidth. It's great. The next thing I had to do is upgrade my Synology to a faster thing there. All right, we're going to let this finish up. So I think what I'll do, because I got a little bit of time, when this boots up, we'll run our usual 3D Mark benchmark on it, do some network tests, see what we get on that. Okay, looks like we are booted up here. And let me go in and see what we got. Okay. Ta-da! I will say the screen, even at its full brightness, is not very bright. I'm not sure what the nits are on this, but it doesn't feel incredibly bright here. Like my iPad Pro feels much brighter. And it's funny because I just got done doing a video with my iPad Pro all day yesterday. So like I'm very sensitive now to the brightness of the screen. But this is as bright as it gets, I think. Let me see if there's maybe a automatic brightness setting. Meatface is back to his usual ID. Wants to know, is there a chip that slows down when the new OS is released? Yes, that is definitely the case. All right, so let me go in and just check and see if maybe it's got like that automatic brightness setting on here. So let's go over to display and brightness. Yeah, it doesn't have an automatic brightness control on it, so it looks like it's just, this is as bright as it's going to get. All right, well, let's go in, and I'm going to go grab the benchmark here. We'll do the 3D Mark benchmark first. You know, we'll put some games on it and stuff too. Do our usual thing. I'll get the speedtest.net app. We'll do that too. So I'll grab that, and we'll grab 3D Mark. All right, we'll put that on there. And we'll just wait for those apps to download real quick. So Meatface says there's also a True Tone switch that might be causing that. Yeah, that just changes the color temperature. It does look a little brighter because it's colder now, but it... Yeah, so it looks like maybe the True Tone is dimming the display a little bit. So it's really more of a color shift when I adjust that versus not. Oh, it's all combined into one, so that may be the cause of it. Yeah, I'll leave True Tone off for now and see if it helps. It doesn't look as bright as my other iPad, though. I need to look up the brightness on this thing. So I'll put the specs on here. 10th generation technical specifications. So they say it's 500 nits of brightness. It doesn't feel that bright to me. Well, I'll fill in the rest of that stuff in a little bit. All right, let me do the speedtest.net here. We'll see how it does on the Wi-Fi. And then we'll go from there. All right, so we're going to run, this is off my Wi-Fi 6. Let's see how we do here. Yeah, I mean, it's getting me, you know, my usual 6 speeds, what I would kind of expect to see. So from a Wi-Fi perspective, not bad. Not bad at all. All right, that's good. Now let's do the wildlife test here. And we'll do the regular one first in unlimited mode. I do get the warning that it's too powerful for this test, but that's okay. Because I like to run both just to get a handle on it. So this one has, for a processor, an A14 Bionic. I don't know why they call them Bionic. And if you go to Lon.TV/benchmarks, you'll see where I will be entering in some data on this particular device. And I'm going to be looking at the Wildlife Unlimited benchmark test. So Red Techie says on his Surface laptop, he gets almost a gigabit. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm surprised by how much they raised the price here. And I guess like their saving grace is that they, the saving grace here is that they did this to, they still have the older one at the other price. So, and Nick says, use fast.coms. Yeah, so I actually talked a lot about this in my reviews of some fiber optic internet services that I've looked at over the last couple of weeks or months or years, because I've been on this fiber optic thing for a while. I agree. And this is a point of confusion that I think we run into sometimes because I'm using this test now to measure Wi-Fi performance. I run that just to see what the radio is capable of, just to see what we can get, from the hardware standpoint. And people get confused because it's like, well, you're running it on your internet connection. Yes, but my internet connection can max out the hardware. So I actually want, even if they're, juicing the results there. But you're right. Like I have never, for example, and I've talked about this when I reviewed Frontier's internet service. So we have a new fiber optic provider in my area that does, at the base level, a 500 megabit symmetrical plan. And if you upload a video to YouTube on that 500 megabit plan, it's not all that much faster to transfer the video up than it is on my 6 gigabit plan because of how the peering and all the other stuff works. So rarely do you ever get the full speed of your connection unless you're running a speedtest.net test. That is absolutely correct. All right, so we're going to put this in. And this is the go back to the specs here. This is the A14 Bionic, which is what we had on the iPhone 12 Pro, and the iPad Air 2020 had an A14. So this is getting us a score of 7,870, which is a little lower than the iPad Air was with a similar chip. And I suspect that the iPad Air had a different configuration on that one, because the iPhone 12 Pro and the Air from that year performed the same. This one's a little lower, although it's not much lower. So it's 47.1 FPS versus 51. So I would say it's probably within the margin of error. I just don't know how they scored this thing. All right, so let's go and do the extreme test now. And we'll start this one off and see where we end up on that. So yeah, I'm going to have to go hunt around for that. Can I put them side? What are you referring to? I'm not sure what you were talking about. This is below the Air price point. This should have been the entry-level model, but they raised the price, and now they keep the old entry-level model at the old price. I will say, to Frank Mudla's point here, that the iPads really are the best performing tablets on the market, dollar for dollar. The problem is not a lot takes advantage of what they can do, right? Yeah, I'll look at, maybe I'll do that, Wi-Fi Man. I forgot about Wi-Fi Man. I'll try that next. The aspect ratio, let's see. Yeah, they don't put the aspect ratio on here, do they? It's 2360 by 1640. But yeah, you'll see a lot of black bars on this. Here, let's do the aspect ratio calculator. So it is 2360 by 1640. So 1.44. What's that in? Yeah, I'm not sure how to do the math on that. Oh, the Pro in this one. Yeah, let me go get my Pro. Sorry, I didn't. I'm running out of steam already. Let me go get my Pro. We'll take a look. Yes, I have the 11-inch Pro, which is very close in size to this. And actually, if I can find my Pro's keyboard, I think this will actually work with my Pro's smart keyboard cover. So let me see if I can track that down. Now the Pro, by the way, which I have in my hand right now, wish I knew where my keyboard cover went, because that would be a great test. I'm pretty sure it would work with it. Oh no, it won't, because the Pro has the thing on the back. Never mind. Okay, so Wildlife Unlimited, we got a score of 2,025, which should put this close to where the other ones landed. Yeah, it's running just slightly behind the iPad Air 2020. All right, let me find a way to like show a. And we'll do. We'll go to my blog on both. So I'll visit my blog. Oops. Okay, so I'll visit it here. So this is the iPad. And this is the other one. So now let's turn up the, you know what, maybe it's not that much different. Maybe it's my aging eyes, because the colors, the screen brightness is turned up on both of them. Let me turn off the True Tone on this. This one may also may have that automatic brightness control. So I'm going to turn the True Tone off. You know something? I'm glad you asked me to do this, because this looks pretty close. It looks a little brighter here, maybe, but not by much. And this is the Pro. This is the old Pro, by the way, the 2018 Pro. But you'll notice this one has this connector here, and that's for its Apple Pencil. So its Apple Pencil does not require any kind of plug to be used. And although this one is not, it's marginally thinner. And it's funny, this is marginally thinner, but it feels a lot thinner than this one does, even though it's maybe not even a millimeter. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, there is some degree of argument here that there's the vertical integration is a big deal, right? For sure. I'm going to go grab a game or two here. We'll go into the, so apparently I'm still paying for this. Let me go grab the Apple Arcade. So if we go into Arcade here, I've got a few games I've been trying out from time to time. So we can grab Oceanhorn is one I like to test out on this. Do a search for it. Oceanhorn 2, I should say. That one's like kind of the best example of a Oceanhorn 2 Apple Arcade. There we go. Grab that one. It's very much like a Zelda-style game. And while that is downloading, what I'm going to do is grab my Xbox controller. Oops, which apparently fell off the table. Are the edges more rounded than the Pro? It's about the same. You know, it might have more material. Yeah, I mean it's hard to say. It might be a tighter. I think the screen bezels are slightly smaller on the. See, this is the 11-inch, so the screen is slightly bigger in the same footprint, so the bezels are smaller. Travis Cunningham is here. Hello there. And let me go and do this real quick. And what I'm going to do now is get my Xbox controller paired up. And what we'll do is we'll put the iPad on my, I guess we run it this way too. I have my Amazon Basics stand here that we might put it on later, but let me go into Bluetooth. And what's nice is that the Xbox controllers generally just pair right up with it. Most of the time. Yes, they say it is a fully laminated screen now. So according to the specifications, it has a fingerprint-resistant oleophobic coating. So if that is what that means, then yes. There's definitely a coating on there. So we'll pair this up real quick. Oh, so not fully laminated, but it's partially laminated with some other thing, huh? Yeah, this is what they say on the specifications. Let me read this to you again. It says, fingerprint-resistant oleophobic coating. Let me see what they say for the iPad Pro. So on the iPad Pro, for its display, oh, yes, so it is fully laminated and it has the resistant coating. So the answer is no, and everyone's already answered this already, but it is not fully laminated. So I don't know what that coating does versus another one. So it is not fully coated, but it does have oleophobic coating. However, the iPad Pro is fully laminated and it has the oleophobic coating. So clearly there's something additional that happens with that. All right, let me try this pairing here. This Xbox controller is not cooperating with our iPad here. There it goes. Okay, so now that's connected. And Oceanhorn is now joining us here, so we can see how this works. And Pog is going to be removed from our Amazon chat. All right. Let's hit continue here. And my iCloud didn't sync up here. Let's try this again. Backups. They say syncing is hard, right? But so let me quit the game and go back in again. It's supposed to sync up with my... There it goes. Okay, so it copied in my save game from before.
Retrieve a lockbox stolen from me many years ago by pirates. Its contents are vital for your knighthood.
You know what's funny too is that when you look at the targets that they have for the game, so this is the A15 Bionic or whatever processor. This runs just as well on here as it does on the M1 MacBook, or well, the M1 MacBook, but also the M1 iPad. Okay, here we go. Let me do another recording here. I'll tell you what, this game looks and plays just as good on this iPad as it does on the more expensive ones. And I bet you if I loaded it up on my kid's iPad, it would also work the same. Because like they, if you're a developer, you're going to target the devices that most people have. Otherwise, you're, right? I don't know if they have some additional graphical enhancements on the M1 iPad over this one, but it still looks pretty much the same. Looks great though, doesn't it? Probably would run great on the Steam Deck too, wouldn't it? All right. So there you go. So that is Oceanhorn. I don't know if there are like settings on this at all. 60 FPS mode is on. Yeah, so for those of you unaware, there's a problem with YouTube. And for a while, they were promising me they were going to fix it, and then they just gave up. So whenever I stream out at 4K, on YouTube, at 55 minutes, it just cuts out. Almost every time. They have not figured out why it does that. And so they stopped emailing me on it also. Like I was getting an email from them like every 2 days. We're still working on it. We know that's a problem. You're important to us. And then it was like, we're just going to give up. I'm trying to see when the last time they messaged me. But yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, I got to get going here, folks, because I have to go pick my kid up in a few minutes. But it's an iPad. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, would this be any different, right? And it's hard because generally it's like, what can you do with the lowest end iPad? And this would otherwise be the lowest end iPad, but it is no longer the lowest end iPad because last year's low end iPad is still being sold. So this one, I don't know what the value proposition is here. If I look at, I tested the 9th generation. I'm just looking through my benchmarks here. Maybe I don't have a, yeah, the 9th generation had the A13. So, certainly you're getting a bump in performance. That benchmark ran a little faster. But, beyond that, I mean, I guess if you like the way the iPad Air looks but feel it's out of your price range, then this is certainly, kind of a bump up. But the pencil thing really drives me crazy. So I think Amazon's going to have to do a better job of moderating some of these people on here. All right, so that is that. And if there's anything else you want me to try before I head, I got to leave in about 5 minutes here. Thank you, Leonator. I got this at at one of the failed launch attempts. So they had a guy from, I think from Lockheed, who was handing them out. It was in the press center, and what he would do is he would put like 2 or 3 of them on the desk, and he didn't want to put all of them out at once. Everybody just like, goes in and grabs them. I was like, hey, can I have this hat? He's like, yeah. So I thanked him, and I think it's a nice hat. It's very comfortable. So DaVinci, I don't know if it will run on this. Is it available yet for the iPad Pro? So I don't know what the RAM is on this. The one reason why the M1 iPads do so well is that it, let me go through here and look, is that they have a lot more RAM than these do. So I think this one's maybe got like, what, 2 or 3 gigabytes of RAM? It doesn't have a lot. But I think the iPad Pro is like up to like 8 or 16. I'm seeing if it's in here. I don't think it is. I'm looking through the App Store right now. It is not there. But I will put, you know what I will do is I will grab iMovie, because it is fun to just show how that works. So I'll set up a little movie here, put some videos on for my timeline in here and stuff. Yeah, CF says either 3 or 4 gigabytes. I would love, you know what I would love is for the M1 iPad to turn into a Mac when it's docked. That's what I would like to see. For that matter, I would like to see an M1 phone do the same thing. Can you imagine like an iPhone you plug into a dock and it becomes a Mac? I think that'd be awesome. I'll tell you, I have the M2 MacBook Air. I love this thing. I am so impressed with this computer. It's almost like the ultimate laptop. It's so lightweight. The battery lasts forever. I have yet to get to the end of the battery on it. Performs amazing. Like you could do all sorts of great stuff with it. So you can actually, I think there is you can get a version of Office for it. And if I'm not mistaken, if you run it without an account, I think it does work as a viewer. But the other option would be you grab, as part of the deal, you get iWork with it. So you could get the pages and numbers to load up those files too. And I'm just waiting for it to catch up on my photo library here. Let's see. Let's go video, all. Well, I had videos in here before, but now I don't. I guess I got to wait for my photo album to catch up here. Let me go into my photos and see. Well, I've got, now it's starting to come in. Let's see if it'll do it now. You know, I'm going to start this again and see if it'll do a movie. Now I'm getting something. Okay. I'm just trying to find some 4K footage that I can bring in. Yeah, I think it's just got to sync up with my my iCloud account. Actually, while that's going, you know what I'll do is I will look at the camera and see what it can do. So from a video standpoint, it doesn't actually tell me what it's shooting at. So let's go. So it's got a fake zoom on it. I haven't moved my camera angle here. Here, I'll just show you over the overhead here. So I'll put my Xbox controller down here. So it does have a 1x mode, and then you have a fake zoom, which is just doing a digital zoom there. So there's only one lens on the back. What I don't know is what the video mode shoots at. So let's look and see here. But generally, I found the iPad cameras to be on par with like an older iPhone, is typically how I've seen it work. So let's go over to camera. So video recording, oh, interesting. So it'll go to 4K at 60. That's pretty cool. That's on the rear camera. Does it do that out of the front is the question. Oh, and the front camera, by the way, is now here. So usually when I'm recording video, it'll tell me what, oh, there it goes. Now it says 4K 60. So that's good. I'm going to test that out later. And then on the front, it is HD 60. And that's what I was looking for. There we go. So now I've got a much better image of what it's supposed to look like here. So you want to double tap that so you get, because if it's going like full screen, but you want to see, you want that on there. So the other question is, if I go into the other camera and we look at it this way, yes, normally I would train myself to look at the top of the image, but the camera's here on the side. See that? It's on the side now, if you're in this mode. So they almost encourage you to kind of use it this way. And then if you're in like FaceTime, what it will do is it will do that zooming thing. Let me get my camera zoomed out here. I got to go in a second. And that will let us bring this in. Yep, my wife's going to be looking for me in a minute. I'm going to get in trouble. Okay, so let's go over here, and we'll go into FaceTime, because it only works in like FaceTime and a few apps. All right, so center stage is what they call that. And I'm just going to call myself maybe. Okay. So what you can see here, as I move, it's cropping and zooming with that to get my image where it needs to be. Yeah, right, they put it on the low. That's it. So it doesn't do the panning at 4K 60. As far as I know. Yeah, as far as I know, it doesn't do that, because it doesn't do it when it's actually recording. Yes, I need to do a couple little video work on that too. And Matt said it'd be awesome if you could just turn it into a Mac. Yeah, what's funny is like the M1 Mac, iPad Air and the iPad Pro, they are the exact same guts as the computer now. There's no reason why they can't run Mac OS. So in any event, that is how it works. But I've got to run because I've got to pick up my kid and take my kid to an appointment. And if I am not there in time, I'm in trouble. So I am going to bid you all adieu. Sorry to be so abrupt about it, but I just got the time here. I'm like, ooh, I'm in trouble. So I got to go get moving here. But I will be back before you know it. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. And sorry, Sam Lazar, you just popped in from down under. But we'll be back again before you know it. I just wanted to get this thing started so I can get working on a review in due course. So I will catch you all on the next one. And thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.